Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to catch you up on all the things we're doing in order to launch this podcast once and for all. And believe me, I'm trying to be like you, the person who procrastinates, the person who has other priorities, and the person who just doesn't necessarily want to just pull the trigger on this. So I am purposely not even doing what we do for clients. So that way I can be just like you and we could go through this in a simple, painless way. Let's get started. So number one, I'm doing this on Zoom. I don't have my camera guy here or anything like that. I want to have the ability to screen share. But I was just talking to my team and I'm like, all right, I got to get this podcast out the gate. Like we need to launch this or else nothing's going to happen. Meaning like if we don't launch this podcast anytime soon, then it could just be something that was an idea, even though we took all the time to go and interview a bunch of people already. By the way, forgive my rudeness. If we have not met yet, my name is Rich Cardona. I am a podcaster turned podcast producer, and my team produces some of the world's top podcasts. As a matter of fact, I think we have 4 podcasts in the top 100 right now, and they don't have any ads, they don't have sponsors, nothing like that. And we are just crushing it for them. But I wanted to take the opportunity to work on a local podcast where my wife and I interview local business owners. And that's what this series has been about. I usually call out the gear that I'm using, by the way. So right here, I have a Shure SM7B microphone today recording, and I'm doing this on Zoom. This microphone, and it has an XLR cable right here that needs to connect to an audio interface that is connected to a Rodecaster Pro. Now there's a Rodecaster Pro 2, and I think there's an even newer version. It's like it keeps getting smaller, which is great, but I got the big one, the original, the OG. And then I also am using right now a Canon EOS R as my webcam. I have a micro HDMI to HDMI to my laptop, which is this. I got a battery, a dummy battery that AC powers the camera so it doesn't lose power. And I think that's about it. I forget what lens, but it's obviously a good lens. So back to what we're doing here. So right now I have cover art. I will walk you through that. In this episode, I have 1 episode fully edited, and then I have 3 social clips for that episode in order to promote it. So I would, on the day of a release of any episode, you definitely want to have a clip of it. Some people actually like to put a clip the day before as if people are going to be super excited about it the next day and be like, I gotta see or watch that. I've not seen that be the case ever, to be honest. So I think once it's out, that's when you actually promote it. So you promote it day of, you promote it a couple days later, you promote it a couple days later. Next thing you know, it's time for the next episode to drop. So that's how we like to roll. So that's why I have 3 social clips. You could do as many as you want, but I try and find the 3 best clips. So here's the things that I don't have right now that I'm going to try and cover. How did I get the cover art? Number one, I think that's always important. There's a lot of ways to do that, but I want to tell you what I did. I need to do a trailer with my wife. So my wife and I actually need to record a trailer. I'm on the fence if we should be like, one of those trailers where I'm like, hey, I'm Rich Cardona. And she's like, and I'm Ann, and then we go. I actually think it's better if just one person does it. So we have that. We have a short description that we need, a short description for the podcast. A lot of people think that needs to be this long, crazy SEO friendly thing. It doesn't. Calls to action, need to record those. Need to actually create the podcast on Captivate. Easy. And Captivate.fm is the podcast host. A lot of people use hosts out there. There's Libsyn, which is an OG, which I don't like at all. There's Podbean, Buzzsprout. There's all kinds. So that's where your podcast is actually going to live. Now, one thing you need to know before I get to the next thing is none of those incorporate video. You cannot upload a video to any of those. The only 2 places you can have a video podcast where the video is actually attached to the episode is on Spotify. So you'd have to have a Spotify for Podcasters account, that just made me realize I need that. So let me add that. And YouTube. YouTube is the only other place. So there is no other podcast hosting platform that does that, but they're all essentially the same. Some are better than others. I've had extremely, extremely positive experiences with Captivate between their customer service, their forward-looking features, and all that other stuff. So let's look at where I should get started here to help you guys out as much as I can. This is how I got my cover art. Now, if you don't know, and if you have not watched any of the previous episodes, we are doing a podcast called Cape Fear Calling. We live in the Cape Fear area. We are are interviewing local businesses so we can network with them, so we can meet new entrepreneurs. And that's it. So I'm telling you, this is all I did. I went and I typed in Wrightsville Beach. That's part of the surrounding area. And it gave me life on Wrightsville. I typed in Cape Fear and it gave me all these things. I typed in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is where we live. And all I did was go to some of these accounts. And then it just brought me to more places. And now let's just look at examples here. So I looked and I was looking for something and I'm like, okay, all this is pretty nice, but we really have a beach vibe here. But the problem is the podcast is not about the beach. So it's like, okay, like we're interviewing businesses and what should we say? Okay, so this looks pretty good, but is this what we want for the cover art? We just really weren't sure. These are all beautiful. We love where we live, but none of these were like hitting it for us as far as like cover art. So it was really kind of a challenging decision. And at the same time, who cares? Because you could change your cover art at any time. So we came across this woman, Julia, the salty pineapple. So go ahead and give her a follow because she looks cool and she's chasing sunrises in North Carolina and she's good vibes only. So we were scrolling through her stuff. We loved her stuff. And then we found a great picture right here. We love this picture because it just kind of reminds us of when we walk up on certain beaches here in North Carolina in the Cape Fear area. We love the marsh. We love just the colors here. It's kind of like a path to something. And that's all we were thinking. Like, okay, like it's not capturing an overhead look of anything. This is like a path to somewhere. So I reached out to her and that is all I did. I wanted to ask permission, of course. I sent her one of these messages, which good on Instagram, by the way. They didn't allow me to send a video. I sent her a video of Anne and I saying, hey, we love your work. We'd love to use something. But it says, hey, Julia, my wife and I have started the local podcast called Cape Fear Calling. We scoured local accounts, found a picture of yours. And if you remember from any of the previous videos, I'm complimenting, okay? I'm complimenting first and letting them know that they have something that we would love to use and we would promote them. So she said she's honored. What photo are you interested in? I sent her that and that's it. She said she found a decent one. She lost some of her work. I said, no problem. And that's it. So I was like, look, I could take a screenshot and it's no big deal because cover art is small anyway. So I said, we're keeping it simple. And she loves the blue font. Now, what does she mean she loves the blue font? I found a template. I used this one. All I did was literally type in podcast or podcast cover. I was doing this in my car. Let me set the setting of how professional I did this. I was sitting in my car in the Walmart parking lot. I don't know. I was just thinking like, oh, let me just sit here and figure out this podcast cover art. So all I did was I clicked on this one and let's see if I could recreate this. I took her image out. I just uploaded an image. Let's see, uploads. And here it is. I stretched it out. Okay. And then I just started playing around and I liked how those colors worked. So then I just made this. It literally took me 20 minutes. It took me 20 minutes. Now, the only question you may have about this is, should you be in it? If it's your show, you probably could and should. This looks clean, and I want it to be focused on what the intent of this podcast is and not Anne and I. So I decided for now, we don't need to be in it. We could, and we could have a cool photo shoot or whatever, but why? So we have this very easy, very chill, and we're happy with it right now. Like there's nothing that needs to be done. So that is it. I sent her a bunch of different variations of it. We both agreed on this one. We looked again and like this was still the same one. This morning it was still the same one. We liked this version. We played around with colors and not necessarily fonts or anything. And that's it. I just wanted it to be very simple, very clear, and that's it. So that is the cover art story. Yes, I'm sure you're just absolutely mesmerized. If you don't want to do anything yourself like that, go to Fiverr, go to Upwork, go to 99 Designs. You're going to have zero problems making it come to life, but don't be fooled. Someone's probably going to do exactly what we just did. And maybe it'll only cost you $10 and it'll save you the time. But I was willing for whatever reason in that moment to take the 20 or 50, probably more like 15 minutes to just sit in the car and do it. And I like it. We love it. So that's it.